Chinese Premier Li on his last stop in Latin America, Chile. Trade between the two countries, Chile and China, has grown dramatically, with copper exports leading the way. But agricultural exports are now a major focus. Joel Richards is live for us in Santiago. It's been a busy week for you, but this trip's focus, well, has been to finalize stronger trade agreements all around, right?
Evening, Phil. Well, the feeling here in Chile certainly is that the groundwork has been done and the mechanisms are now in place, and it really is just a question of these two old friends to really drive forward trade and diversify those trade agreements, obviously, between Chile and China. Both the Premier Li and the Chilean President Michelle Bachelet spoke this morning to business leaders, and they both really highlighted the historic diplomatic ties between these two countries and saw that as a real opportunity going forward in terms of the strategy that for both countries in their respective continents. And Chilean President Michelle Bachelet really pointed home this idea that these agreements, the 10 agreements signed with China, mustn't just remain as documents and pieces of paper, but rather they really must drive forward a real transformation in the volume of trade between Chile and China.
As his tour of Latin America drew to an end on Tuesday, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang urged Chilean business leaders in Santiago to help drive forward trade between these two countries.
The cooperation has a broad prospect. I hope that entrepreneurs from China and Chile can do what Latin Americans often say, seizing today rather than seizing two tomorrows.
Michelle Bachelet highlighted that Chile, thanks to its geography, is a strategic trade partner for China.
For Chile, the support of China is important to achieve the long-hoped-for regional integration through interoceanic corridors. In that way, we can consolidate Chile as a port and as a bridge towards Asia from Brazil to the coast of Chile.
Agriculture, and in particular fruit, is one key export that Chile is aiming to strengthen. According to the Chilean Exporters Association, the country is the largest fruit exporter in the Southern Hemisphere. Chile is expecting a sharp increase in the volume of trade with China over the next decade.
What we think in terms of the Pacific Rim area is that they're going to become the most important buyer of our fruits. Being China, the most important one. Nowadays, China is at least 50% of our exports to the Pacific area.
Historically, copper has dominated trade between Chile and China, but prices for the red metal are down 40% since reaching a high point in 2011.
And the view from both sides of the Pacific is that these two countries must diversify economic ties. Given Chinese demand and given Chilean potential in the sector, fruits, wine and agricultural products are a key component to this.
Over the course of Premier Li's visit to Santiago, both Chile and China have underlined the strength of the diplomatic ties between the two nations, a relationship both want to see extend to improve trade and greater levels of investment.
Phil, ahead of this visit of Premier Li then here to Chile, one of the issues was that this country receives a relatively small amount of investment, especially when you compare to some of the other Latin American neighbours that Chile has. But what we have seen today in the delegation talks is a proposal by Chile to attract $20 billion of Chinese investment in various projects in infrastructure, mining, and of course in energy too. So perhaps that will change in the coming years too.
Joe, I know you're also looking at another report that perhaps isn't all that great, but it talks about trade in the region dropping. What do we know about that?
That's right. Well, yesterday the Economic Commission for Latin American States released this report which shows that China and Latin American trade has in fact dropped in the last year by 2 percentage points, and this report really perhaps provides the backstory to Premier Li's visit to the region over the last 10 days, because this report really looks at the reliance on 5 key commodities for the region that take up almost 3/4 of their exports. And of course, with the drop in price, then inevitably that has led to a drop in the total amount. As I said, when you look at the example of Chile, the agreements reached between China and Chile really look to diversify trade, and no doubt the whole idea of this tour of Latin America has been to reverse that trend.